going on, my home studio engineers? As always, thank you so much for checking out the Home Recording Network. Today's video is going to be all about how to get a vocal sound that stands out. And what I mean by that is a vocal sound that sits on top of the music where it should, so that all your vocals are easily audible to your listener. When I started out 15 years ago, I was mixing my own band out of my bedroom in my parents' house. Whenever I finished a mix, I would immediately have both my mother and my father listen to the song, and I seemed to get the same response time and time again. Their consistent feedback was that they couldn't understand the lyrics. And this really frustrated me because whenever I would simply just take the fader and turn up the vocals, they began to overpower the music. I learned early on just how important vocals are in the mix. As much as we want to place importance on huge sounding drums and amazing guitar tones and guitar solos, we might fail to see the big picture. You see, at the end of the day, people just want to hear the story of the song. And the main element that the average listener is going to be paying attention to is the vocals. So today I'm going to show you a technique that I use on about 90% of my lead vocal tracks, and it's going to help you sit your vocals where they need to be. In this case, this is all going to be done with one plugin, and I realize everybody might not have this plugin. So if you don't, make sure and check back next week. We're going to be showing this same technique, but with the stock Logic plugins. All right, now let's get into the fun stuff. All right, guys, before we get into this, if this video provides you any value at all, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified anytime I release a video. All right, so this mix is from a band called A River Like Sunday. They're local here in Buffalo, and they actually don't have much original material, but this is one of their original songs that I don't even think they've released it yet. But here's just a little clip so you can hear the vocals. Yeah, so the vocals are sit kind of perfectly, and Mary Beth, of course, has a great voice. This is just some of the lead vocal here.
Footprints in our sand, side by side, I'll hold your hands.
Yeah, so first of all, what I want to say before we get into any of this is that you need to know how to mix a vocal before applying this trick. So if you don't know how to EQ your vocals or compress your vocals or do any of the basics that vocals really need done, then this trick might not help you that much. Now, I have tons of videos out there on vocal chains and how to mix vocals. I also have a video on the stock Logic vocal chain that I have used. So make sure and check out those videos if you don't know the basics about mixing vocals. Now, this technique is going to be a parallel effect technique. It's not going to be a parallel compression technique. That's a little bit different. But what a parallel technique is when you basically send a signal to something like an effects bus, put an effect on that signal, and then blend it back in with your track. If you want to learn more about, parallel compression and parallel techniques, I explain that a lot and go through that in detail in one of my other videos that you can check out, or you can just watch this and kind of learn on the fly. Now, if we just bypass all the effect sends down here, we can hear just what the vocal chain sounds like, and you'll see, it sounds pretty strong.
Footprints in our sand, side by side, I'll hold your hands.
Yeah, so we've done a good job mixing the vocal up until this point. And at this point is where I start adding some effects in. like reverb and delay, but we're not going to talk about that at all. What we are going to talk about is this first effect send, which is my Vox thick send. If we look towards the right here, we can see our channel strip for this effect send, and it's got one plugin on it, but I'm going to bypass it for now. And if we just solo this, and I will turn it up a little bit because it's very low in the mix, but we can hear that this soloed is just our dry vocal.
Footprints in our sand, side by side.
And yeah, maybe I'll turn it up a little bit louder for you guys, just so you can hear it a little better. But if we play this and then I enable this plugin, you're going to see a major tonal change.
Footprints in our sand, side by side. I'll hold your hand, surround me.
Yeah, and that might sound strange on its own, but I think by the end you're going to be very impressed by this, and it's going to help you out a lot. So let's open the plugin, which is Virtual Mix Rack. This is the only plugin we have on this effects bus, and let's walk through the moves here. Let's bypass all the modules here, and we'll talk about them one by one. So the first module that this vocal is hitting is this FG73, which is just some drive or saturation. So we see it right here, virtual drive. So this is a nice preamp emulation. It could be used on bass, really anything. You could use it on drums, guitar. But what we're doing here is just slightly saturating this thing. So it's a real subtle difference, but if I play this and bring it in, you should hear some tonal difference.
Footprints in our sand, side by side. I'll hold your hands.
Yeah, just making this vocal a bit more gritty, bringing out some character. And I mean, you can go really big with this if you really want to drive it.
Footprints in our sand.
Yeah, but we typically don't want to go that big. So let's put that back. But we're just adding a gentle amount of that distortion into the vocal track to sort of differentiate it from the lead track that we already have. Now, next we have the Custom Series EQ, which is a great equalizer because it's so gentle. So you can really go pretty big and make some big moves on this EQ and not completely change the signal. You could really use any EQ for this technique, though. It doesn't matter. So what we're doing here is we have 3 of the bands adjusted, and I'll go through the moves, but first I'll just bring this. I'll start with it off and bring it in.
Footprints in our sand, side by side. I'll hold your hands.
Now, we did a few things here. So we're boosting all the air at 15K. So the very top end of the vocal. This is one of the parts of this technique that's going to get this vocal to sit on top of the mix. So if we adjust this here, we can hear how much brighter this gets.
Footprints in our sand, side by side. I'll hold your...
Yep, so a little air there for the singer. The next thing we're doing is actually taking out a ton of 4K. Now, if you've watched some of my other vocal mixing videos, you'll know that 4K is an area in the frequency spectrum that is typically a little harsh for singers. So we're taking a dramatic amount of this out because we have enough of that in the lead vocal track. So let's mess with this.
Footprints in our sand, side by side.
Yeah, it kind of makes this effect track a little smoother, taking out some of that harsh area. Now, since this is our Vox thick send, we want to make our vocal thicker. And to me, that means more low end, right? We want a ton of high end and clarity on our singer's voice, but we also need some weight to it. So here we're just boosting a little bit down at 200, which is, you know, the very low part of Mary Beth's voice here.
Footprints in our sand, side by side. I'll hold your hand, surround me.
Yeah, so boosting a little low end as well as the high end and taking out some of that harsh 4K area. Now, our only other module in here is Revival. And if you don't have this plugin, I feel for you. No, I'm just kidding. But I seriously do love this plugin. There might be some other plugins out there that do this. I don't know. If you know of them, let me know in the comments. But this is a harmonic distortion plugin. And it basically, to an untrained ear, basically what this does is boost the top end and the low end of the signal. But it sounds great. So the shimmer is the top end, the thickness is the low end. So here we have a ton of the shimmer cranked as well as the thickness. So let me bring this in.
Footprints in the sand, side by side. I'll hold your hand.
Yeah, and you can really go crazy with this.
Footprints in the sand, side by side.
Can really, brighten up your signal if you wanted to. But when you're using this technique, you should definitely be having this in. You should be listening with the main vocal track as well. So you know that these two elements are sounding good together. So now we have this all set up, and all that's left to do really is to mix this in with our actual lead and show you what a difference this makes. Now I'm actually going to bring the send volume down to where it was before. And remember, this is not very loud in the mix. It's not supposed to be the lead vocal track. I mean, that's what this actual lead track is. This is supposed to be complementary to our lead vocal track. So what I'm going to do, I'll turn on all the effects here. I'll play the track, and then I'll occasionally come down here and mute this Vox thick. And you're going to hear when this is muted that the vocals kind of sit back in the mix a little bit more, which is not what we want, right? And they still sound great, but this just gives the vocal that little push it needs to get above the mix and to really be heard.
Footprints in the sand, side by side. I'll hold your hand, surround me with your warmth and light, and I'll be fine. Let me in. Don't put up those walls again. Let me see all the things that make you move and feel alive.
It's really just a lot stronger, just a more professional vocal sound. We want to get away from, I know we're working out of our homes, but we want to get away from being amateurs. And these are the little tips that are going to help you do it. Let's see if we'll listen to the chorus and we'll do the same thing. I'll start with it off.
Let me order and a little bit longer. Melt this cold inside of you. Feel the depth of this love. Let it wash over you.
Again, this just puts more of an emphasis on our vocals by, boosting those key areas, but not just boosting them on the main vocal track, making a parallel track and blending that almost over EQ'd signal back in with our original. Now, the funny thing is, this isn't really the type of song that this comes in handy the most. A lot of the music I work on is more, distorted guitars, hard-hitting drums, and those are styles of music where this can be pushed even further. Maybe I'll make the volume a bit heavier on that Vox thick send to really get the vocal above the mix. This is really, a singer-songwriter type of song, acoustic guitar or clean guitar. So the vocals are already sitting on top of the mix pretty well, but here we just use a little bit of that technique to give them, a little bit more power. Like I said, if you don't have Virtual Mix Rack and you are using stock Logic plugins, come back next week and I will show you how to mimic this with your stock plugins. But that's it for today. Happy mixing, guys. Hey guys, if you like this video, be sure to download your free Ultimate Home Studio Mix Guide with your go-to EQ and compression settings for all your tracks. And also be sure to register for my free online mix training that I hold a couple times a week so that you can learn how to make radio quality music from your home without breaking the bank.